Okay, so this is our special after the Memorial Day weekend session of business math, week 4. So guys, if you're behind, you got to get caught up this week. Yeah, everything comes to a halt at 11:59 on Sunday night. So that's on the best we can. We'll turn on this tablet just in case. I don't know what this meeting ID is. All right, so there we go. I'll share my answer screen here with everybody. Okay, so Sydney was asking about market based on cost and market based on price. They give you formulas for that, right? Okay, so let's look at, is number 6 one of the ones you said? Okay, so we'll look at this here. Okay, the amount of markup you said was pretty easy to find because you had a cost and you had a selling price. You just subtracted those two, right? Now, markup on selling price is going to be your markup, our number here, right? Divided by your selling price, which they give you right here. So when you plug that into a calculator, you should get 0.4074. Bring a calculator up. Okay, so what we have here, are these numbers the same as yours, Sydney?
No, they're off by $1.
Okay, so they're going to be really similar.
Yeah.
They do that. So we can look at this one though. It is so whatever our markup is in dollars, 21.39 divided by our selling price, which is 52.50. That gives you this big, long, ugly number here, 0.407428571, blah, blah, blah. You're going to move this over 2 places to the right. So it's going to be 40.7428%, right? And they tell you, I think in the instructions, they tell you to round it dollar to the nearest cent. So here, another way to do this on the calculator is you multiply this times 100, and that'll give you the percentage. They want you to round it right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to my right. That's less than 5, so we just leave it as is, 40.7.
Gotcha. Okay, because on the numbers that I have, I would have gotten 39.77%. So
Okay.
I guess I just should have made it 39.8%.
Yep. Yep. Well, what were your numbers? Let's just.
It was, the cost was, or the markup was 21.28, and then the selling price was 53.50.
Back up.
Do what now?
Yep, that would be 39.8% when you round it.
Okay.
Yep. Good job. Yeah. All right. What do you think, Kelly?
I'm just here.
Many times on these. Oh, go ahead.
I want to know what happened to my.
Because they're going to give you a lot of these are just going to give you a formula. They're just going to give you a formula. Just plug it in and into a calculator. Let's look at number 7. Okay, see, once again, there's a formula. Your markup based on cost is going to be your markup based on selling price divided by 100 minus your markup based on selling price. So let's look here. They give you markup based on selling price of 65%. Put it on top. 100% minus that. Okay, we convert those into decimals. There you go. Just like in the formula. Just remember, I think when I was answering questions, I was putting stuff on the bottom here in parentheses, and I was doing that to show you need to go ahead and do that part. Oh, I can make it bigger. Sorry.
I have my screen split. That's why yours is fine.
I don't mind. Just look for these formulas and plug in the numbers. And okay, I did finally answer your questions, Andrew, on the WebAssign. Did you get those? Your audio is not working.
Today,
Oh,
so I'd also
there it is. There you go.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me make sure it's connected to the right microphone. Where is? Oh. How does this sound? Okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go back and check them yet. Because yeah, one thing I wish it did is notify me when they were answered because I can go back and check them. But yeah, like this question right here, I had no idea what was asked. That what it was asking me to. I just felt like the question was just too vague for me, and
Okay.
that is a problem I've come across in a lot of these questions. Is like I have no idea what it's asking me to. I need more detail to answer their questions.
And maybe, Kelly, and maybe this will help.
Because all I read here is calculate the missing information and stuff like that. But what I think would help is calculate the missing information of that is what pretty much is what I was looking for, and just separating it that way was not good for me.
Okay. Well,
It's a me issue, is what I'm pretty much saying on that part. But there's people like me who take in information at a different level where but and it just makes it hard for that kind of stuff.
well, and part of that's, this is when you have that button here that says, well, where did my other thing go? You have a
It has the
button on here
button.
somewhere that says read it.
It said read it, but I didn't know what I was looking for to read.
Gotcha.
And so that's why I was like, so one of the problems I had is like, yes, if it had to watch it, I had no issues because then I knew what I was working with. So I wish like at least on the homework, it had to watch it on every single one of them.
I agree.
understand for not, I understand it not having it on the quizzes, and that's perfectly fine.
All right, so let's look here.
I agree.
What's that? Did you say something, Kelly? I didn't catch it.
Can you hear me? I can't see me. I don't know what happened to this.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Okay, I have a question on the chapters due this week. 8, is that what we're on? I don't know.
We're on 8 right now. That was last week's, wasn't it?
It's due by Wednesday at midnight, so I'm not late yet.
Make
so-
sure. Move this down so I can see. Um,
Chapter 10. Okay, chapter 10,
10.
chapter
Okay,
10 quiz. The quiz. Not the one above it, but the one below it. And it's question number 8, D.
and we can take turns asking these questions, guys. So I'll circle back around to Andrew and Sydney and Raven if she asks any loans. Okay, so which number was it again? I'm sorry.
Number 8, question D.
Right. 8D. So you're an accounting manager for a place called Cool Rags.
No, that's not what mine says.
What does your say?
So if Southside National wants to compete with Rimrock's last offer,
Okay, so you sure you're on chapter 10?
yes.
Okay, and it's maybe the homework then?
Could be. I thought I went up to the top and it said, well, I'm trying to do this split screen and I'm not very good at it, so bear with. It says chapter 10 quiz, simple interest and AMP promissory note.
Okay.
And then it's
Chapter 10 quiz, simple interest promissory notes. All right, now we just need the right number. You're not Cool Rags.
number 8, question number 8, D.
Okay, yeah, okay, right. So, okay,
So I
so you
did,
got,
I did A, B, C and got them correct, which yay. But we get to D and it's like, that's the thing about trying to figure out these formulas when you don't really are very good at it. Then it gets all crazy when they start doing 50 million things with the formula and you barely learn the first thing.
okay. Well, let me come off of this for a minute. Okay, so can you see the whiteboard?
Mhm.
Okay, so hang on. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time, right? That's the formula we use all over the place. This particular one asks you for the rate, right? And so they don't give you a rate formula, so you have to figure it out. Now we got to go back to our good old fashioned stuff, which is we want to get R by itself on one side. I think we covered that. P and T are keeping it from doing that. So I'm going to divide. Let me go back here. Interest, principal times rate times time. I'm going to divide this by principal and time. So those two go away. Divide this by principal and time. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So rate is going to be equal to interest divided by principal times time. Now, on this particular problem, what are your numbers?
Okay, so it says if Southside National wants to compete with Rimrock's last offer, which was part C, and I got it right. So it was $53,125.
Well, I guess my question is, what is your How much how much are they saying you're borrowing? Because I have different numbers.
$1,700,000.
700,000. The principal is 1,700,000. Okay, and what's your time? Is it still 90 days?
Oh, I know what I did wrong. But anyway,
Okay.
it is still 90 days, yes.
All right, and then your what you hear? What? Oh. Ah. Okay, so you need to figure out what you do, and then what is the other number I'm looking for? I'm looking for the
So we're gonna take.
oh, I'm looking for the amount of interest, right? So what is your interest on that?
If I, hold on. $52,000.
All right, okay. Let me look at them here. Hold on. Okay, so you're going to take whatever you got on Part C and deduct whatever they tell you.
1,100, right? So
So
you
that's
get
how much again?
52,000.
So I'm going to go ahead and this. Why is it here? So the rate is going to be equal to your interest, which is 52,000, divided by principal, which is 1.7 million,
Times.
times your 90 days, 365. So do this first. 90 divided by 365. I'm going to erase some of this stuff out of here. Maybe I write a little bit neater. All right. The rate is going to be equal to your 52,000 divided by 1,700,000. And I said do this part first. 90 divided by 365 is going to be equal to 0.24657. Actually, it might be 24658. Then do this part on the bottom. So we'll apply that number times $1,700,000. At 52,000, still on the top, divided by 419,178.0808. Sorry, I was still without looking. So let's look here. 52,000 divided by 419. 178.08.
12.4%.
12.4%. Yep.
Okay.
See where you went wrong?
Yeah,
Kinda
I
said
was,
you did a while
yeah,
ago.
I was, yes, I know what I was doing. I have more questions, though.
Oh, that's fine. It's fine.
Wrong. I got 12.7 or 4%. I put it in there and it says wrong. That's frustrating too.
Let's look. If we look at your assignment,
Hmm?
mind if we look at your assignment real quick?
Mm-hmm. I am looking at my assignment.
No, do you mind if we look at it? Because if I pull it up,
Oh.
everybody's going to get to see it.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
Care.
That's why, you know.
I do not care.
What? And you are. See, it's going to be a rounding error. And I have problems with those as well because I like to stretch them out. Quiz responses.
Oh, the 100th. And I rounded to the 10th.
Oh, okay. So yours should have been 12.41%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta look and see what are they asking for, and then like I said, I like to stretch my numbers out pretty far, so sometimes you know. And what about you, Andrew? Do you have a particular problem in mind? Do you want to cover that discussion at the end?
Yeah, we can cover the discussion at the end. That's
Okay.
fine. I'm
we'll-
just going over
cover-
reading the notes that you left me on my previous stuff, so that's what I'm doing right now.
Does that help?
I think on the one that I had issues with just understanding the question, there was just a lot of information there that could have been left out for my personal benefit, and I was getting confused by all these words just describing a scenario, and that's
Okay.
what I was getting confused on.
All right. All right. So who's next on the problem list here? Throw me one.
I think I'm good on the chapters for, or the chapter for Wednesday. It was really just the chapters from like chapter 8 and 9 from on Sunday that I was struggling with.
Do we want to go back to chapter 8 then? Chapter 8 homework.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. There's just so many different, like, I don't know. There was just a lot going on in the assignment, and it was hard for me to grasp all of that.
Yeah, well, let me go through here kind of slow so you can see the formulas and then how they calculated it. That way, if you want to go through the video again, you can just pause it.
Okay,
Okay.
because it's like on yours, it's helpful that like on each of your questions, it shows the like problems below, but like on ours, it doesn't show that. Like you have to go find it in the book or watch a video if it has that as an option. And so it's kind of hard.
About like the solution here.
Yeah, like ours doesn't have that on the questions. We have to like click read it to go find them.
Right. Like this one, they're going to ask you for the selling price. Well, if you got cost and markup, that's a pretty easy one to find, right?
Yeah.
Now, percent markup based on cost. If you look at these formulas here, your markup based on cost is going to be your markup divided by cost. Markup based on selling price is going to be your markup divided by selling price. So it's kind of already in the question what you got to do.
Right.
And since they give you your markups, it'll be your markup divided by your cost, $1.15 here. Boom. Markup divided by your selling price, which you had to figure on your own. So there's that one right there. I'll scroll down to number 9. And they give you a pretty long explanation here that you really don't need. But see, pretty much the information. Here's the selling price. Here's the cost. Okay. You can find your markup in dollars pretty easily. Right. And then they're asking you what percent of the sale price is the markup if the cost of the fishing boat. Okay. So it's markup based on selling price. There's the formula. You plug it in. Okay. So when you see it in these terms where it kind of just glares out at you, you're like, oh, okay. But when you're trying to do it on your own, I understand it's kind of daunting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll scroll through here and I'll just kind of pause and then move on. That way you can go back through it.
Yeah, thank you.
You'll see there, once you get 1 or 2 of these underneath your belt, you'll see they start doing the same thing over and over again, and then they become pretty easy.
Yeah, chapter 9 wasn't as difficult for me. It was mainly just like the last few on the chapter 9 assignment that my brain started hurting.
Okay. Well, we're going to run over to chapter 10 here again, and then we can go back to chapter 9. Okay, there's
that's-
17. It's a nice long
Before
explanation.
before we leave tonight, can we discuss the last paper that's due?
The discussion, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be the last thing we discuss, which is I'll take what about, and it's not as hard as you think. It's another one.
Yeah, my question on the discussion is really just how you get part B. That was my only question on that part.
Okay.
And
We will look at that. I'm just trying to give her little heads up here on this one. All right, so she's covered there. Everybody's covered on that one. And then the next one was, okay, we're still here. So what, are we still on this particular thing here, which was chapter 10 quiz? Ellie?
Sure. Keep going down and keep going down, keep going down.
You want-
Got that right, go down. We'll get to the one I got wrong. Right here. Okay. I'm having trouble figuring out. I understand, or at least I think I understand that the maturity value is principal times 1 plus rate times time. Right? Is that correct?
Okay, so say that again.
Your
maturity
maturity value equals your principal times, in the quotation, 1 plus rate times time.
Okay, right.
But I don't know, man. I've read it, I've done it, I've read it, I've done it, and it's wrong.
That is chapter 10. What is this quiz? Let's look here. Chapter 10 quiz. That was number
No. 12.
12. Okay. All right. So on this one, you remember how we did last time? Your rate is going to be equal.
Interest.
Rate is going to be equal to your interest divided by principal and time. You're gonna take your interest, which was $220. Now, what you're gonna do in here, like I said, I always it, and I wish they would kind of break it up for you, but they expect you to be able to do it, which is you're
Yeah.
gonna do this part first.
Okay.
Once you get a number here, you're gonna do this part second, then you're gonna finish it up third. So let's kind of look at your numbers.
So say that again slower. Like, what would you do first? What would you do second and third that you recommend?
Okay, so in this situation here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my time calculation, my 163 over 365. And that's going to give me something that's like, I don't know, point
Mhm.
three something maybe.
Wait, yeah. I get that part.
0.44. I'm going to take this 3,600 and I'm going to multiply it times whatever you got here.
Mhm.
Now you can do it a different way as well. You can do all this at once. I just, when I'm teaching, I try to keep it in
Simple.
like bite-sized pieces, but you could
Yeah.
also go 3,600 times 163, whatever that equals, divided by 365. That's going to give you that bottom number of 1607.67. Like 220 divided by 1607.67. That should give you 13.68%, but they want it to the 10th, so it'd be 13.7. There's a couple of different ways to do that. Once you get this rate, doesn't look like you're going to need it again, does it? Your maturity value is going to be your principal plus your interest. So that's a pretty easy calculation. Maturity
So your
value
rate
is your
has
principal.
nothing to do with your maturity value. Well, they don't tell you that.
Well, it does, but since they go ahead and give you the interest in dollars, you don't have to figure it. So yeah, they're having you back into
Well,
that
I'm over
rate.
here multiplying and dividing 220 into 13. That's the thing about math is when you think you like, for me, when the formula clicks and I think I got it, and then I'm over here multiplying I'm making it harder than the actual question is.
That's the story of my entire life, making it harder than it should be. So what about the dates?
So with the dates, is it the same, like it's easier than you think it is? Because I'm again over here trying to figure out like dividing the month into the, 12 into this month to figure out the day times 8,000. And I'm trying to like, when I read it in the book, it said your maturity date, your maturity value is like P plus I, it's always going to be principal times something. And that's where I'm getting confused.
Well, and it depends if they're giving you, are they giving you rates or are they giving you actual dollar figures? They're giving you an actual dollar figure for your principal, and they're giving you an actual dollar figure for your interest that's been accrued. Then you just got to slam those two things together and call it good. Now, if they're asking you to figure out what your interest is and they give you a rate and the time, then you have to go through all the machinations. Now, look at number 13 here.
Yeah, I see it.
They give you principal, they give you rate, and they give
Right.
you interest, right? They don't
Mhm.
give you time, and that's the one thing you need to figure.
Mhm.
Now, once again, we manipulate that interest is equal to principal times rate times time. or whatever. What is that formula? Yeah, interest equal to principal times rate times time. We manipulated that formula to come up with the time is equal to interest divided by principal times rate. So they give you all this. Your interest, $240. Principal, $8,000. Your rate is 15%. So I'm going to take 8,000 times 15%, which is what, 1,200. And I'm going to take 240 divided by 1,200.
Just taking that and then dividing it by 12, and then I was,
Now that is 0.2. All right. Well, that's going to be 0.2 out of 3. It's going to be 20% of 365 days. Where'd she go? We lost her. Just give her a second to come back.
I don't know.
There she is. Okay. So this is going to be,
Yeah,
they give you the time. It comes out to 20% of, okay. So out of 3, it's going to be 20% of 365 days. So you have to take that 0.2 times 365 to figure out how many days it is. And then you add it to June 5th.
yeah.
Most what you're doing here is a variation of this right here. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. All right. Principal is going to be equal to interest divided by rate times time. Rate is going to be equal to interest divided by principal times time. And time is going to be equal to interest divided by principal times rate. So you get to manipulate that thing. All right. So what is the question? Steve borrowed $80,000 at 12% ordinary interest for 60 days. He made a partial payment. So first off, you have to figure out what interest accrued for the first 20 days. That's what they're doing here. 80,000 times 12% times 20 days over 360. All right. You're going to take whatever interest you got there and add it to the principal of his loan. And then you're going to take out the $6,000 so, all right, there we go. Yeah. So they did a little bit differently than I would have. I would have went ahead and added this to the $80,000 and subtracted the 6,000, but you should still get the same thing, right? Because this is what you're, in the end, you're left with $74,000 on that loan after he made that a payment. And then they ask you at the end of it, what is the maturity value going to be? Now we got kind of have a new formula here. Okay, principal times 1 plus rate times time, and that's the formula you were talking about earlier, right?
Right.
Well, here's my new principal because I made a partial payment, right? Here's my rate. My time is now 40 days because I chopped 20 days off when I made that partial payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just plug it in. Do everything in here. You can't do the 1 plus yet. What you have to do is you have to do the 0.12 times 40. Here, and I'll do it real quick here. 0.12 times 40 divided by 360. Then I'm going to add 1 to that. So that gives me 1.01333333. And then you're going to multiply that times 74,533.33, 75,527.11. That kind of makes sense how they did it.
Yeah. I didn't answer.
Same thing. Same thing with your Taco Bell restaurants. Well, whether your numbers are the same or not, being able to go back and look at this explanation and what formula you use, you can plug in the different numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of pause here so you can go back in the video and go, okay, this is my numbers are different, but this is what I need to do. Same thing with 16. That way we can have time to cover that last discussion. And you get some pretty easy help here for both of us. Now, the cool thing of these maturity dates, and I'm going to show this real quick. This may or may not help you. But Excel does a cool thing here. All right. So with Excel, if you have the date of the note, which is May 3rd, we'll just use this year because I think they try to avoid leap years. And then determines 51 days. If I add this date plus the 51 days, oh, there we go. It's going to go ahead and give me, put it in date form right there, exactly when my maturity date is. So if you have access to Excel, all you got to do is just type in the numbers and it will do it for you. If not, then you just got to go to the calendar and kind of do it the old fashioned way.
Why can't you just ask Google 51 days from May 3rd?
Oh, well, you can do that too. Ask Google. Yeah. I forget Google exists, or actually we have the faceless lady at our house. If I say her name, she'll pop up. So right here, you have your bank discount, you have your formula, proceeds, another formula. You're right, Andrew. It is much easier. Or, like she said, just ask Google or the faceless lady. Same thing here. Your effective rate. All that's on the formula. So
Just know Google and the faceless lady do not like to do the formulas for you.
maybe you need to go to Chat AI or whatever. Is it?
Chat GPT, but I was about to say I wouldn't rely too much on that. Someone tried using it for a litigation for a something like I think airplane crash, and got called out on the misinformation from it.
The AI is real simple now. I was just actually listening to a podcast, the Joe Rogan podcast, with the name. His name is he's a physicist, theoretical physicist. He's kind of a famous one. He's got a Japanese name, so I can never remember it. Mikio Kaku. So it's a Joe Rogan 1980, the number 1980, and they do a lot of talking about AI, and it's pretty interesting. He's also talking about quantum computing as well. How that's a game changer. So number 20, number 21, and number 22. and I will upload this video first thing in the morning, so you will have access to all this information. So everybody should, chapter 10 should be pretty easy for everybody. All right, so we want to talk about I gotta get back into Canvas, don't I? Oh, I must have got out of it. So let me do this. And the last discussion question. It's it's number 4 you wanted help with, right? Andrew? I think everybody.
Yeah.
Part 2 specifically was for me.
Now remember, pay attention. I will say, pay attention to what they're asking for. Because he does give you the break-even point is your fixed cost divided by selling price minus your variable cost. Now, I'm gonna go through the whole thing if you don't mind, Andrew. This will help the ladies out.
That's pretty fine.
Your expected average selling price is going to be $7. Your fixed costs are $75,000. So that's what goes up here, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you guys know the difference between fixed costs and variable costs, right?
Sure.
Okay. Well, fixed costs are a cost that doesn't change no matter how much business you do. Right? Your mortgage or lease on your building, right? Your management salaries. Your variable costs are going to be things that do change depending on how much business you do, right? So, what else would be a fixed cost? Usually electricity is a fixed cost, right? Because you're going to have all the lights on in the building, whether you making 500 or something, or 1,000 or something, right? Now, there may be some variability there depending on how many machines you're running and things like that, but we're not going to get too deep into the weeds. But your fixed cost would be 75,000. Your variable cost would be 50 cents. Okay. And that's going to be per. Okay. So to earn a profit of 5%, how many units do you need to sell? And then what if you were able to reduce the estimated fixed cost to 65,000? What would your new break even be in units? In units. So if you want to earn, first off, let's just do our break even point. Our fixed cost, which is $75,000. Can I put this on the other screen? You guys can follow along, with the okay. So we have our break even. Break even, which is going to be equal to your fixed cost divided by your selling price minus variable cost. So let's go and figure out our break even is going to be 75,000 divided by 7 minus 0.50. It's going to be 75,000 divided by 6.5. So our break even point is going to be at 3 divided by 5. Now, this is going to be in units. This is how many units you're going to have to sell to break even, right? So I'm going to go ahead and round that up. The number they give me is 11,538.46 units. Usually on something like this, you would round down, but since we're dealing in how many do you need to sell in order to break even, let's go ahead and round it up to the next one. You're going to round, so you're going to have to sell 11,539 units just to make $0. That's what break even means, right? You don't make anything, you don't lose anything. At 11,539 a piece, or 11,539 units, you're going to have you're just not going to make any money, not going to lose any money. Hey, no worries about the puppy, man. I got a 107-pound one that likes to come in and bug me. Now, so that's what we did so far. Is we've break even point. That's number one. That's what we found out in units, right? I mean, we have to sell. Earn 5%. How many units do you need to sell? All right. Well, let's look and see. If I take this 11,539 and multiply it times my $7, let's look and see what that revenue is. Right? Actually, let me back off that. I'm telling you something a little false.
What?
Okay. Let's go ahead and do our revenue here times $7. So we sell 11,539 units. Okay. That is $80,773 in revenue, right? That's our break-even revenue point. If I want to make 5% on that, I'm going to multiply this thing by 0.05. So that's what, $4,038.65. So my total revenue. Huh?
Is that gonna be per unit?
No.
No.
No. This is total revenue. This is total revenue. So I'm going to add this back into so my revenue has to be $84,111.65 in order to make a 5% profit. Divide this thing by $7 again.
Why are we dividing it by
Because they're
7?
looking, because on number 2, they say, how many units do you need to sell?
Okay, so the units are 7.
Yeah, these units are $7 a piece.
Okay.
If I divide that by 7, my answer becomes
12,115.95.
15.95. So we're going to round that up to 12,116 units to make 5%, right?
Okay.
3, we go back to what we did in number 1. I'll erase all this. Erase. So they've reduced our costs, our fixed costs from 75 to 65,000. So we go ahead, do what we did before. This time we're at 65,000. Okay, so 65,000 divided by 6.5. It's going to be 10,000 units. Okay, so if we reduce our fixed costs somehow, we just have to sell 10,000 units instead of what was it, 11,000. Don't really give you enough information. They do, but they're kind of leaving it up to you. Say, what if you miss the mark on variable costs and actual overall cost is $1.15? Do they want us to use the 65,000 fixed cost or 75,000 fixed cost? Well, I don't care as long as you use one of them. I'm going to go ahead and use 65,000 just because that's the last one I used. So my break even on this one in units is going to be 65,000 divided by 7 minus $1.15, right?
Where'd you get the $1.15 from?
From the question.
Oh, I can't see the question.
So 65,000 divided by, what's that, 585? Okay, so 65,000 divided by 5.85. Going to
11,000.
be one, yep, 112. You're gonna have to sell 11,112 units at this point to break even, right? Because if you multiply that times the selling price, you should come pretty close, which is here is 77,777.
That's not close.
That's going to be a rounding error. Because we're going to come pretty close to breaking even on that, because around 65,000 plus our variable cost on this. So we've got to make $77,777.78 worth of sales on whatever this item is to break even. I know it's kind of ugly, but I think once you look at it again, it should go pretty easy.
So the break even number is the 77,000 or the 11,000?
The 11,000.
Okay, that's what.
Because they're asking for it in units. So you got to know how many units you got to sell. Yeah, I was just throwing that out there for just revenue numbers. Everybody, you feel okay about that, Andrew?
I forget I have a microphone. Yes. I just got done filling out my Excel spreadsheet for both possible answers.
All right, so no worries. What about you, Kelly? You feel better about that?
I do. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that puts us at 9:02. Are we done? Or are we
I'm
staying
done.
over? You're done? Stick a fork in you? You too, Sydney?
I need to take my dog outside.
Okay. Well, the deal is though, remember, use the hell out of the Ask Teacher button over the next few days if you need it.
Okay,
And I'll just suck it up and answer all the questions.
good. Thank you.
All right. Well, you guys have a good one. Thanks for showing up. Stop recording. This will be